It's the holiday season. Christmas is here. And when it comes to believers, they always ask the question, should we be celebrating Christmas? Or even more specific, was Jesus truly born on December 25th? Right now, we're going to watch two videos breaking down these exact questions.
Was Jesus born on December 25th?
No. Is that shocking? No, he
Well,
was
there
not.
we go,
Okay,
folks.
that's it.
You can all go
Let's
home
go.
now.
You don't have to worry about all those presents.
We just
this
wiped Christmas out, so we'll.
Yeah. Well, let's. I mean, well, let's do it. I mean, as if we were, biblical detectives, and we're here in the
Okay.
Holy Land.
Okay.
First of all, first clue, Luke 2. It says, "And she gave birth to her firstborn son. She wrapped him in cloths, laid him in a manger because there was no room for them in the inn. In the same region, there were some shepherds staying out in the fields, keeping watch over their flocks by night." That alone is a clue right there.
It is?
Yeah, absolutely. Because people who argue December 25th seek to deal with this. The rabbis say in the Talmud that shepherds would only be out in the fields around March until the next rainy season. So people argue, well, the winter there is not, the winter still gets cold there too. I mean, if you've been to Israel in the
I
winter,
have.
it does get, I've been there when there's been snow. It's not just that they're out, they're not just keeping their sheep in the pens. They're out in the fields and at night, which is very strange. Why would they be out in the fields at night? Well, some people have argued, this is another one, that he was born in the autumn, he was born during the Feast of Tabernacles, which I understand because they say, well, God tabernacling with us. The problem with that is that during Tabernacles, the males had to all be in Jerusalem. So the birth of Messiah would not cause Joseph to break the law by being outside of Jerusalem when he's born. It's not going to do that. The birth of Messiah is going to fulfill everything. So there is one time of the year that shepherds would especially be out with their flocks at night. Only one. That's in the springtime. Why are they watching their flocks at all hours? Because shepherds during one particular time do that. It's when the sheep give birth to lambs. In the lambing season. That's the only time. That's where they're watching at any time of day, any time of night. They're watching for any birth. That's the only time. And when would that happen? The lambs are not like people. They're only born at one time.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
I must be a dummy.
No,
Honestly,
lambs are only
I didn't know
born
that
at a
either.
certain time of the year, not like us. They can only be born.
And that seems much more plausible. The Lamb, Jesus Christ, who's referred to as the Lamb, was born during a season that only lambs are born. So most likely, Jesus was not born on December 25th. Now the question is, should we celebrate Christmas? Watch this.
Christmas, pagan or non-pagan? Sorry, I just went straight into it. Right? Well, here's the reason why. Is you want me to give my feelings on it, or do you guys? Because you guys both all looked at me like, oh no, we're just going right into it. But I feel like you guys have an answer, so give me the answer.
Go for it, guys.
Get them.
So if you look at Christ's birth, obviously the dating of his birth and how it came about is correct. And there was a worldwide census. All the history behind it is correct. But when it comes to December 25th, no, that was adopted later on, a form of paganism. And so we don't have the exact date. Literally, we could 1 out of 365 days. So that's the odds that we get it right. 1 out of 365. And so the paganism behind, I think, if you chart it down through the history of it, of the slow change of who Saint Nick was, the change focus away from Jesus Christ, the dating, a lot of that did have pagan roots. But to celebrate Christmas is so important because it's Jesus' birth. And I love how so many people have tried to take away the word Christmas. So they'll say Xmas. What they don't realize is X stands for chi, stands for Christ miss. So back then, an X would have stood for Christ.
Really?
Another way they say it is holidays. Oh, no, my Jewish friends, any friends, not just Jewish friends, will say, horrible, never say Christmas, it's too exclusive. Well, I hate to say it, but holidays, holy days. People back then would have said, yeah, holy day is pointing to Christ's birthday.
Yeah,
So people can't, they try as hard as they can, but they can't remove it. Exactly. You can't escape God.
Oh, that's cool.
My mom used to always, the people, happy holidays. She goes, Merry Christmas. And I was like, jeez, Mom, relax. No. It's my Lord's birthday. And she'll look at him, Merry Christmas. And I was like, terrifying, mother, terrifying. I also want to add something she told me. One time, I'm diving into the conspiracies, right? My God, Mom, Illuminati, they won. The devil's, he's making a mockery of us. Christmas, look at us, pagans, selling around this tree and reading the Bible verses like, they're decorating it. And my mom looked at me and she goes, look at you, you fool. She goes, the devil got you running away from the only holiday that even atheists celebrate Christ. And I was like, whoa, that struck me. She goes, and then she looks at me and she goes, even if it is, say it is, God forbid, say it's a pagan. She goes, underneath this sun, this is all God's domain. So go and conquer it and make them submit to Christ, and we shall all worship Christ and say that this is his birthday. Even though it's not his birthday, we at least dedicate one day to celebrate the birth of our Lord. And I was like, Jesus Christ. I was like, this girl's really into it. Dude, when my mom talks, I feel like she's always having a sword and she's like ready to just like cut somebody down.
I like that analogy, but it really comes down to this. It's if you celebrate Christmas, celebrate it. If you don't, don't. And when I think about when people bicker back and forth about whether or not you should celebrate Christmas, it brings me to this passage. It's in the book of Romans, in Romans 14, 2 through 3. He talks about how believers have different convictions, and in this specific example, he's talking about food. It says here, one person believes he may eat anything, while the weak person eats only vegetables. Let not the one who eats despise the one who abstains, and let not the one who abstains pass judgment on the one who eats, for God has welcomed him. And see, the broader context in Romans 14 is about not judging your fellow believers about disputable matters, for example, food, or observance of special holidays, for example, Christmas. Because faith is personal. At the end of the day, if you want to celebrate Christmas and focus in on the birth of Christ, do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But if on the other hand, you see this as a pagan holiday and you want nothing to do with Christmas, don't celebrate it. The problem comes in when you bash other Christians and you say, well, hey, you're not really a Christian if you do this, or you're not really a Christian if you don't celebrate this. Why bash each other? At the end of the day, churches are filled on Christmas, and that one person might be saved because everyone makes a big deal about Christmas. That's my 2 cents about it. If you enjoyed this video, share it so we know and let me know your thoughts in the comments.